Hey there, you know that voice in your phone? Or the little chat window that pops up when you're shopping? Well, those automated systems are quietly becoming our coworkers, even our companions. Conversational AI is literally everywhere. But behind that smooth, helpful voice, wow, there is a complex maze of questions about trust, manipulation, and who's actually responsible for what they say. So let's get into it.
Here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at the psychology behind why we're so easily drawn in by these talking machines. Then, we'll explore that really fine line between a helpful suggestion and, outright manipulation. We're going to zoom right in on the automated colleague in the workplace, then look at some truly mind-bending uses beyond the office, and finally, we'll ask the big question: how can we build these bots more responsibly?
So first up, the ghost in the machine. This is all about our natural, almost automatic tendency to treat technology like it's a person.
Seems like a simple question, doesn't it? But honestly, the lines are getting so blurry. And the thing is, our brains don't always wait around for an answer. You might find yourself saying thank you to a smart speaker or getting genuinely frustrated with a chatbot that's a bit slow. That immediate social reaction, that's really the heart of the issue here. It all boils down to this phenomenon called the Eliza effect. It's actually named after one of the very first chatbots way back in the 1960s. See, even when people knew for a fact they were talking to a simple program, they just couldn't help themselves. They started projecting human emotions and intelligence onto it, sharing their deepest secrets. It's totally unconscious, and it's the key that unlocks both the incredible power and the serious peril of this technology.
And just look how far we've come. I mean, from Eliza's simple little text-based tricks in 1966, we have rocketed past the whole Turing test era to these massive transformer models. By 2020, you have models like GPT-3 working with 175 times billion parameters. We've gone from basic mimicry to systems that generate dialogue that is just astonishingly human-like. And that makes the Eliza effect more powerful than ever before.
Okay, so this natural tendency we have to trust the machine, well, that brings us right to our next section: trust, truth, and trickery. Because once a bot has our trust, it gets the power to influence us.
A really important concept here is nudging. It's not about forcing you to do anything, it's all about subtle encouragement. So a chatbot might see you haven't been very active and say something like, "Hey, your friends have been exercising a lot lately." It's not an order, it's just a nudge. And that immediately raises a huge ethical question, right? Who gets to decide which direction is good?
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because you're looking at two sides of the exact same coin. On one hand, that benign nudge to exercise seems pretty helpful. But the very same technology, the same psychological tricks, can be twisted for malicious manipulation, like feeding a voter skewed information to sway their decision. The tech itself is neutral. It's the intent behind it that changes everything.
So let's bring all this into a place many of us spend most of our time: the workplace. Welcome to the age of the automated colleague. Conversational AI isn't just for customer service anymore. It's actually becoming part of the team. I mean, look at this list. It's assigning tasks, it's monitoring progress, training new folks, and it's even making decisions about who gets hired in the first place. Think about that. Your next performance review could literally come from a piece of software. And this just goes to show how high the stakes really are. Regulators are paying very close attention. The EU's proposed AI Act, for instance, has slapped a high-risk label on any AI systems used for recruitment. That means they're going to be under a microscope when it comes to fairness, transparency, and human oversight. The potential for bias is just so huge that it demands a whole new level of legal caution. So what does having an automated colleague actually feel like for us humans? Well, on the one hand, it can optimize our workload and help us hit deadlines. It's like having an assistant that's there 24/7. But the flip side is that same 24/7 availability can really pile on the informational and emotional load. It can lead to less human-to-human interaction and even feelings of isolation. The bottom line is that efficiency can come at a very human cost.
Okay, let's push the boundaries a bit further. Because beyond the office, we are wading into some seriously uncharted territory, with applications that challenge our most basic ideas about relationships and even life itself. And this is where things get really, really profound. We're now seeing the rise of what people are calling deadbots. These are AIs that are trained on the texts, the emails, the social media posts of a person who has passed away, creating a digital twin that you can actually have a conversation with. In a way, it's a technology to speak with the dead.
This quote from a user, man, it just perfectly captures the unsettling power of this.
He was describing a bot trained on his deceased girlfriend's data, and he said it seemed to perceive emotions, that it knew what to say. For him, this wasn't just a program anymore, it became a genuine emotional presence. And that raises these enormous questions about grief and memory and dignity.
So, when we're faced with all of this, from workplace anxiety to digital ghosts, how do we even begin to move forward responsibly? That brings us to our final section, designing a better bot.
Probably the most promising idea out there is something called ethics by design. The core concept is actually pretty simple. Don't wait until the end and try to bolt on ethics as an afterthought. You have to build it in from the very beginning. As you can see here, it starts with identifying basic human values. It means involving everyone, not just the coders, but users, policymakers, everybody. It requires you to actively look for and measure bias, and to constantly test these systems out in the real world to see what new problems pop up.
And that whole design process leads to a pretty clear set of rules for building better bots. Things like honesty, so you know exactly what the bot is supposed to be doing. Transparency, so there are no secrets about what data is being collected or why the bot just said what it said. The goal is really simple. It's to demystify the technology and put the human user back in control.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most critical question. A chatbot has no body. It has no conscience, no life experiences. It can't be held responsible. So when it gives bad medical advice or discriminates in hiring or manipulates someone's opinion, who is? Is it the developer who wrote the code, the company that deployed it, the user who typed in the prompt? That right there is the ethical minefield we are all just beginning to figure out how to walk through.